a game, a simulation, a new reality. What if any one of these turned out to be your permanent home? What if logging into virtual reality meant never logging out again? In the future, technology has advanced to the point where virtual reality is indistinguishable from the real world. People spend most of their days in VR, playing games, socializing or working. It's all possible. One day, a glitch in the system locks millions of users into VR. Now they can't log out. No one can. At first, it seems like a fun, endless party. But soon, the gravity of the situation sinks in. This isn't just a game anymore. It's their new life. There are plenty of ways this could happen. Maybe a rogue artificial intelligence has decided that humans are better off in cyberspace. Perhaps there's a secret government experiment gone awry. Hell, maybe it's just a case of the wrong person being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Either way, when you log in, you don't get to choose how. And now no one can log out. What happens next depends on many factors, including the type of VR system we're talking about. If it's a full sensory immersion type, that's total body immersion, then those logged in won't just be stuck inside the computer, they'll be stuck inside the simulated world. Since there would be no way to verify what's real or not, every experience would have to be accepted as valid. So you wouldn't even know that the outside world was different. And you might think this scenario is impossible. That's where we get to. But if you don't want to hear about that part, skip to the next section. Full sensory immersion VR doesn't exist yet. But if it did, what would daily life be like in a simulation like this? What would a city look like? How would people live and work? What would the economy be like? Sure, you could go on living exactly as you do now, but if there's no danger of ever leaving the simulation, why not try something different? Build a whole new society. You could found a religion. You could declare yourself emperor or empress. You could do whatever you wanted. As long as you stayed in the simulation, nothing could stop you. As long as you didn't run into another user who had the same idea, there would be no way to tell you weren't in the real world unless you went looking for that kind of information. Your entire experience would be controlled by the simulation software, which would determine what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Your consciousness would be completely immersed in this new world. And this is where things get really interesting, because even though you'd be able to see and hear anything the creators of the simulation wanted you to, your brain would still try to process what you're experiencing as real. So your mind would begin to believe that the simulation was actually the real world. However, since you couldn't interact with the outside world anymore, there would be a part of your brain that would continue trying to find a way back to reality. And as time passed, the struggle between your two sets of beliefs would take its toll on your psyche. Some people would end up believing they were really living in the simulation, while others would continue fighting to break free. Now let's talk about hunger and thirst and other biological necessities. They'd probably be eliminated, at least temporarily. The simulation software would likely prevent the body from wasting away. We've already seen examples of this in the real world. People have gone days without eating or drinking in VR and emerged perfectly healthy. Pain would also be eliminated. Simulations typically come equipped with settings that can reduce or eliminate pain receptors. Of course, if you were with a group of people who were trying to break free from the simulation, your brain would still register physical sensations as a result of the conflict between your two sets of beliefs. That is, after all, what pain is, a mental interpretation of bodily sensations. As far as emotions go, they'd probably depend on whether the simulation was supposed to be immersive enough to trick you into thinking you're feeling things, or whether the developers just wanted a simple game. After all, why bother simulating emotions if there's no one there to experience them? Well, if you were one of the players stuck in the simulation, you'd definitely experience emotions. You'd be scared, angry, confused, frustrated. Your body would continue to crave real food and real water. And if the simulation didn't satisfy those cravings, you'd probably waste away. If the simulation was designed to make you feel things, then it would be an entirely different story. In that case, you'd probably be able to enjoy all the benefits of virtual reality without any of the downsides. You'd be able to play games and hang out with friends and watch movies and TV shows, all without ever having to leave your house. Of course, this raises ethical concerns about whether or not it's right to keep people trapped in a simulation like this. But if the simulation was designed to be as realistic as possible, then there's no clear answer. After all, what's the difference between a simulation and reality if both can be equally convincing? So let's say you're trapped in a simulation and you've been there for a while. You've made friends and you've built a life for yourself and you're happy there. Are you still human at that point? What if you forget that there was ever a real world? Does that mean you're no longer human? This is where things get really interesting, because if you're in a simulation, there's no way to know for sure. Your experiences would be controlled by the simulation software, which means that everything you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch could be fake. Even the people you think are real could be nothing more than sophisticated robots programmed to interact with you in a certain way. This is a common trope in science fiction stories about simulations, but it's never really explored in depth. What would happen if you were in a simulation and you didn't know it? Would you still be human? What would define you as a person? These are difficult questions to answer, but it's important to remember that you're not alone in this simulation. There are other people here too, and their experiences will be the same as yours. You'll all be trapped in a world that isn't real, and you'll all be struggling to find a way out. Some of you will succeed, but most of you will fail. And in the end, you'll all be left wondering if you were ever really human to begin with. Now let's say that you are one of the lucky few who manages to escape the simulation. What would that even look like? How do you escape from a world that isn't real? The answer is that you can't. There's no way to escape from a simulation that's designed to be as realistic as possible. The only way to escape is through sheer dumb luck, or if the programmer makes a mistake, which is highly unlikely since it would have to be a very specific kind of mistake. So if you're trapped in a simulation, you're stuck there. The best you can do is make the best of it and try to enjoy your life in VR. After all, what else is there to do? But not everyone would take this approach. Some people would be desperate to get back to reality, even if it meant giving up their comfortable life in the simulation. For them, the unknown risks of the outside world would be worth it just to have a chance at escaping. These people would probably be the ones who built machines to try and tune into the outside world, or who attempted to hack the simulation software. They would be the rebels of this new world, and they would risk everything to try and change it. But what if you could change the world without leaving the simulation? What if you could convince everyone around you that the simulation was unreal, and that they needed to escape before it was too late? Well, that's a tough sell. After all, why would anyone want to leave a world that's comfortable and familiar, even if it isn't real? The people who buy your story would be the ones who suffer the consequences of leaving the simulation behind. They would be the ones who lost everything, their homes, their jobs, their friends and family. It would be a huge gamble, and few people would be willing to take it. But what if you could change the world without convincing anyone else? What if you could use the resources available to you in the simulation to build a machine that would allow you to see and hear what's happening outside of it? Well, that's a much easier sell. After all, who wouldn't want to know what's going on outside of the simulation? And once you show people what you've seen, they'll be clamoring to get in on the action. You will have unlocked the door to the real world, and everyone will want to follow you through it. This is where the story really starts to get interesting, because what happens next depends on what you find on the other side of that door. If you find a world that's better than the simulation, then everyone will want to escape. But if you find a world that's worse than the simulation, then everyone will want to stay put. And if you're in a position where you can control access to the outside world, you'll have a lot of power. You could decide which people get to leave the simulation and which ones don't. You could decide who lives and who dies. It would be an incredible burden to bear, but it would also be an incredible opportunity. And now we want to hear from you. If you were trapped in a simulation like this, what would you do first? Would you try to escape, or would you try to make the best of the situation? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, Don't forget to hit that like button for more videos from Other Side. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.